Yeah, I believe we're online. So good morning, everybody, and thank you for turning out on this rather fresh morning. And welcome to this North Northamptonshire Business Workshop on storytelling through social media. I'm hoping everybody online can hear me and see the presentation that's in front of you. This is recorded, so it can be played back later on should you wish to. With regards to the people online, if you submit your questions into the Q&A, at the top right hand corner of your Zoom screen, I will represent you in the room. Just like to say a big thank you to Arena Sports for the use of this lovely facility. As I said, Q&As will be afterwards, so if you could limit the questions, and I will, like I said, represent you in after the main presentation has started. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our main speakers, Paul Watts and Richard Liverman. And I will get out the way. If you could just make sure you're happy, put it on that screen, and then you can.
Great.
Okay,
Well, good. Yeah, it's great. Welcome, everybody. I'm going to kick off with a few slides just about social media, which is going to be some you'll recognize, but some what I want to do is get you thinking. And we've already been talking here about ELNN, which is one of my favorite social media accounts, because it's pink and full of cakes. I mean, how can you not like that? But what's really interesting is how can we use social media for our businesses? And delighted to have Paul with us today, who has social media has really revolutionized his business. And Paul is also an influence. And what's great is I met Paul working last year on the North Northamptonshire program. He's got a salon in Kettering, but he's known all around the world. And one of the great things about social media is storytelling and meeting new people. So we're going to talk about that today. Just do this here. Yeah.
Put it in the middle of the screen, Rich, and then just flick the wheel. Oh.
Yeah, it's not doing it. But just while we're loading up the slides, I'm Richard. I'm based locally in North Northamptonshire, and I help people with branding, social media, and coaching and mentoring. And what we're going to be talking about today is how to build your confidence. How can we go from North Northamptonshire to the entire world? And luckily, Paul here is an expert on this. And also talking about storytelling and hints and tips. I think what's really interesting in social media is the accounts that really resonate with us are either incredibly beautiful, like our cake friends at ELNN, or they're really great at storytelling. And one of the great things about storytelling is when you learn how to do that, it's completely free and it can really, really lift your social media. So when I look at my career, I always like to put my career in logos. And when you look at logos, what's really interesting is every one of those logos means something and we all understand what they are. And when we think about the social media accounts that they run, we'll recognize quite a few of them. And for me, it's all about what can we learn from big brands that we can bring into our businesses, and storytelling's key to that. So I'm never going to miss a chance for you guys to follow me on social media to build up my followers. I've got quite a few 100,000 to catch up with you. But on LinkedIn, I'm Richard Liverman. On Instagram, Richard Solutions Global. I guarantee a little splash of pink on there. And having learned from Paul last year, I've launched my own YouTube channel, which I'm very proud to say has now got 30 subscribers, of which I think 2 or 3 are my parents. So please feel free to follow. In fact, please follow. I found this quote and I really, really like it, which is sometimes reality is too complex. Stories give it form. And I think when we think about our businesses, sometimes what we do, it's so complicated, but with storytelling, it helps make it easy for others to understand. So I'm going to, instead of going through every social media channel, I'd like to do a quick show of hands. And for people online, you can do a thumbs up or some form of emoji, and I'm sure Brian will pick it up. But just as a show of hands, who here's on Instagram? 3, 4, 5. Brian?
Me.
You on Insta? No? Okay, Facebook? Everyone. TikTok? Not so many. YouTube,
Okay.
WhatsApp, very good. And Google Business Profile. Fantastic. Well, Google Business Profile, this is a really quick win. You can upload your content to your Google Business Profile. And I've been doing this for the last 3 months. And what it's done is it's improved my SEO and visibility. And it's such a simple win. If you're creating content, how can you repurpose it? And I think what's really interesting when you talk to lots of different people, they'll always tell you about what's the right social media to do. We're not going to do that today. What we are going to say is if you create really good content with stories, how can you repurpose it across different channels? But if you want to pick the right social media to do, I'd always go, where are your customers? Go to where your customers are. And I think there's too often people say, you need to do this, you need to do that. Go where your customers are. Why social media matters. I love this question. Your customer's already there. And I'm one of those people that is guilty of scrolling in the evening. I'm sure lots of other people occasionally might step off from work and just do a little bit of scrolling. That's what your customers are doing. They're looking for inspiration. Social media builds that trust. It's the new word of mouth. Where I think the storytelling element makes it even more interesting is there are so many people doing it. How do you stand out? And for me, it's all about storytelling. What are the stories that resonate? How can you connect with people? And I think whilst big brands have got big budgets, what they might struggle to do is be real and authentic. You don't have to be perfect, but what you can do is share your stories and do something really real. What storytelling really means. So many people, when they go into social media, try too hard. For me, it should be about sharing your journey, not just your products. I think what's really interesting, what are those accounts that resonate? Yes, you can have some beautiful products that light you up, but it's the stories that really connect. And I love it when people do that behind the scenes of the business. You know, what's going on? And I know it sounds really odd. Why is it that people love unboxing videos or meet the team? Because you kind of make people feel part of your business or connected to it. And then I heard this expression the other week about how do you make your customers feel part of your world? And I think as small business owners, what's amazing is we've created this world, whether it be a candle shop, whether it be a hairdresser or a restaurant. How do you invite people into your world so they want to hang out with you and spend time with you? And when they spent enough time with you, they'll come through your doors and spend money with you. So how can you invite people into your world? I think it's a really nice way of approaching social media and turning everyday moments into connection. It's also about that storytelling. How do you make people care? And again, we'll talk about this with Paul, because when you do the storytelling and it really resonates with people, they care about you, and care means that people will share your stuff and eventually they'll interact with you. So I'm going to do this really, really quickly because I want to get into the conversation with Paul. But there's always that question, right? What are those content ideas? What are those quick wins? A day in the life, introducing your team, sharing your customers' stories. This could be a testimonial. Again, please get their permission. Talk about the challenges you overcome. And I think as small business owners, there's always that little bit where we all have challenges. That late payment, that customer that's been a little bit rude, or, oh, we bought these products from this really interesting place. Have they arrived? Are they going to be here in time for Christmas? Explain what makes your product special. Why should somebody come to you rather than somebody else? And I'm very excited. I've done my second unboxing video. So if you've not subscribed to my channel, here is another reason, because I've got a client who sent me a parcel and I unboxed it. And my children are going to be horrified when they see the video, but I'm hoping it will get the subscribers up. And one of the things that I really love is how can you shout out and share local collaborations or shout out nearby businesses that you like and respect. Each month, I hero one small business I work with. And I do it for them. And we all live and work in communities. How can we shout out other businesses? And I think December the 6th, Small Business Saturday is coming. And with that, it's really, really simple. How can you support businesses? You can like and comment on their posts. You can share it with your local communities. You can buy from them and you can leave reviews. This is how we can make a difference to other businesses around us. Stories everyone can share. Origin stories. Why did you start your businesses? How do you make a difference to people? That behind the scenes, whether you are opening a store, opening a restaurant, opening a cafe, how to pour the perfect pint of Guinness, which I absolutely failed as a teenager. Those customer moments, those transformations, those before and after. What are those product stories? And I think what's really amazing working here is learning some of the stories. So there's a local business around here called Corby Kilns. They make all these pottery kilns for the whole of the UK. They service them. And we've been talking to them about how can they share their stories about what they do. It's amazing. And I think the pottery throwdowns really help them. But there's also that little bit, how can they help themselves? Go tell stories. And those community stories, what's amazing is, especially here in Northamptonshire, we have all of these amazing business communities that are very, very supportive of each other. The Yards in Kettering is a really good example where there were some challenges that the businesses had locally. They came together and supported each other. People like collaborations. They like the events. They like to feel part of a community. Invite people in. With all of these stories, they're really simple to do. You just need to find yours and share them. And final bits before we go into the Q&A. There's a brilliant book, and I'm forcing Paul to read it at the moment, called Story Brand by Donald Miller. And it is a brilliant book. It's called Building Your Story Brand 2.0. And he talks about the idea of make sure the customer is the hero of every post. So when we think about it, we're the guides, we're the business owners, we're there to guide people to the right things. So when he talks about this, is show the hero, i.e. the customer in the store, how do they benefit from coming into your business? Do they feel more relaxed? Do they look great when they leave? Can they find the perfect gift? Yes, Christmas is coming. And you become the guide. That friendly advice, that expertise, that recommendation, we are the guide to help the heroes that come into us buy from us. How can we help them find the right products? How can we share our expertise and knowledge? Speak directly to the problem. Sometimes with social media, we struggle with the language, but it's just storytelling. It is around need a break, ready for a treat, struggling for a last-minute present, not sure what to choose. That's the problem. And then how can we guide people? And it really is a brilliant book because he talks about how do you make it easy to buy? Pop in today, book online, call us, DM for availability, order for pickup. Highlight the transformation. And I think it's going to be slightly easier for Paul because he can do before and after with a haircut. There's also that bit where, you've got those happy customers, you've got those cozy moments, you've got that solved problem. Even for a coffee shop, it could be like that relaxing break from busy day shopping. And share the happy outcomes. People feeling proud, feeling confident, relaxed, looking good, or feeling excited. For me, it's all about storytelling, and just tweaking the language suddenly makes your social media more engaging. So I have a friend in America who runs a barbecue restaurant, and I love this expression he uses. It's be the show, not the commercial. I think what's really interesting when we think about when we're scrolling on social media, what makes us stop the scroll? It's not those adverts. It's not the ones going, buy this product, da, 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 da. It's just not. It's about being the show. When you run your own business, you can write your own rules. So for this is about, instead of trying to sell to people, how can you bring it to life? How can you bring your business to life by telling stories, by being the show, not the commercial. So I'm going to hand over to Paul to introduce himself. He's a local guy, and we'll get into the Q&A. But Paul, do you want to introduce what it is you do, how you do it, and where you're from?
Yeah, so hello everybody. Thank you so much for coming. And yeah, my name's Paul Watts, local businessman. I've opened a group of salons over the years. I've been a hairdresser now for coming up 20 years. Someone reminded me the other day, 2 decades. And I couldn't believe it, if I was honest.
That's good effort.
So yeah, I mean, getting into hairdressing, we were speaking. I was at university doing a degree in creative design. I didn't really know where my path was going to take me, so I've done quite a few things. We were just talking about the internet just a second ago before you arrived, and I was a network engineer before I got into hairdressing. And that moment of we'll talk about it with the start of social media as well, but that moment of getting into the industry, like my world changed. And it was a case of me really understanding just how to help. And I think that's what I was always searching for. I was always being either spoke at school or university, told to do this, told to do that. Whereas I wanted to be the person to help people. And then getting into hair, how I did finally get into hair, leaving university, was that I was being given briefs of like 6 months, 8 months, 9 months to create something. And the way that my mind works is I want a brief, I want a few minutes to sort of like break it down. And I don't think there's anything quicker than cutting hair. Someone brings in a brief of what they're looking for. I have a few minutes to sort of think, consult, create. And it was just that sort of like magic that got me into the industry of being able to make people feel incredible, beautiful, happy, but fundamentally helping people. And this is where it sort of transitioned into social media. So yeah, I started off with one small salon in Kettering and then grew it into 4. Lockdown was fast approaching that none of us really knew about. I was lucky enough to 2 people approached me to buy my 2 little salons, and nobody knew about lockdown was coming, so it was an actual blessing. And then we went into lockdown, and then that is where social media started. So
yeah, well, we're getting into some Q&A, but I'm going to ask you all, please give Paul a follow. Not only can you see the way that he does social media, you can also get some really fantastic advice on hair, which is completely not relevant to me, but to everybody else here, most certainly is. I think what's really interesting, having worked with you for the last couple of years on this project, is how you've become really well known. And I guess
it's funny you say that, though. I did a talk at Google headquarters on Friday for YouTube, and my friend was sort of saying, "What's going to be your opening line?" And he was like, "I know what it should be. It should be that you're the most famous hairdresser that no one's ever heard of." And I cringed, like, "Oh my God!" Even with the word influencer of the year, I hate the word influencer. Those things just like cringe me out. And yeah, you saying that when he said that hook, I was like, no, I'll leave that off.
No, okay. Well, let's go back to the start.
Okay.
How did you start using social media for the salon in Kettering? But I know before we started, we were joking because we were both on MySpace.
Yeah. Anybody on MySpace?
Love MySpace.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
I can't find my login.
No, I keep trying to, but no, can't find it anywhere.
But how did you get into it in Kettering? What started it?
Well, the need, I suppose, like everybody, like the need to be visual and be at people's fingertips now. It was just a case of when Facebook started, you create your business Facebook group. I think that's just to let people know you've got appointments or what services you offer and that sort of thing. And then Twitter was a thing that I never really got into. And then you've got the likes of Instagram coming up, and we jumped on there because you have to. And then TikTok, you have to. And YouTube, for me, even though I've adopted it as my main platform, I've been on it since 2011 as like a viewer, but I didn't really get into it until 2020 as a content creator on it. So yeah, how I started was basically, like you were saying, transformation videos, pictures, because that's all it was, wasn't it? It was really pictures back then when we all sort of launched. And it was just to really try and give my my business visibility, which is what I think everyone.
So I guess my question after that is, how did it go from being something that you almost did for fun or necessity into something that you thought, actually, this can really help my business?
Yeah, and when I was looking at these questions, and I think it's got to stay fun. I think that's one of the main things. It has got to stay fun, and it will become a bit of a business if you put everything into it. But when it started to transition into the business was out of necessity again through lockdown. My world, like hair is my world, hairdressing, my business. And my business was stopped for like 8 months because of it all. And I sat there on the first day when Boris came on telly and said that we're going to be closing for the foreseeable. I was like, "You are? I'm unemployed," sort of thing. And I was like, I don't know what. And then my girlfriend was going off to work. She's a teacher, and I found myself sitting on the sofa until when she left, and then when she came back with my laptop, just sort of like, what am I doing? And it was that I've never, so I work a hell of a lot, how my schedule. I work abroad a lot of the time, Sunday to Tuesday, and I'm in the salon Wednesday to Saturday, and then I'll fly again on Sunday to Tuesday. And with my world being put in pause, that I was like, right, what could I do to actually now I've got a bit of me time? And I've always been a bit of a geek, and being able for my geeky world to collide with my business world, my hair world, was a no-brainer. And I just picked up my camera in lockdown and my phone, to be honest. Picked up my phone, went into a quiet room, found a window, and just made a how to blow dry your hair at home video. And that's how that happened. And there's a lot of, we were talking earlier about when you're looking at a camera or a lens or the red light comes on, the anxiety and the fear you feel of getting in front of a camera. And I've got a lot of tips and tricks on how to combat that, because over the years of doing it's just second nature now. I'll flick a camera on and then just start talking.
Well, before we get to that, because any advice on anxiety with cameras, I
Yeah.
think everybody in the entire world would be grateful for, probably apart from Jonathan Ross, if you've seen The Traitors, is do you remember that first post or video that really took off, and like what happened?
Yeah. So the first one that really blew up was like totally unexpected. It's just hit 5.1 million views now, and it was COVID had finished. We were back in the salon, and we were leaving the salon, all me and my team, and I'd really tried to stay consistent with YouTube to try and make it a thing. And we were walking out the door, and I just said to my team, I haven't filmed a video. And they were like, oh, don't worry about it. I said, no, consistency. So I said, see you later to all of them. They all left the salon. I locked up, went into the studio, which used to be in the basement of my salon. And I sat down for a couple of seconds, Googled hair trend, and this wolf cut thing popped up.
Sorry, as somebody with no hair, what's a wolf cut?
Yeah, so a wolf cut is an adaptation of like a shag haircut brought to current day. So it was a TikTok trend that people were creating by using one ponytail in the front of their hair, cutting it to create face framing layers. And that was the thing, this wolf cut. And then when I was looking at it and I was thinking, if we really wanted to create a shag haircut, it needs another ponytail at the back to create like this look. And being a very technical hairdresser, like day to day in the salon, I'm section by section, everything's done perfectly. To then realize that there was this niche out there that you could reverse engineer haircuts and colors to make it in the simplest form, to start here and then develop. And the reason why doing that as well was our apprentices. So when you qualify, you learn sort of like 5 fundamental haircuts. And when clients come into the salon, no one ever asks for those 5 haircuts. And this is the issue. Clients will come in with inspiration, say, oh, I love this. And then you're looking at it thinking, I have no idea. Or they'll say, can I have a wolf cut? Like, what the hell is a wolf cut? So a wolf cut is a shag haircut, but the way to really help someone understand is that you create over direction and elevation to create length and texture in hair. So how could I do that in its simplest form? 2 ponytails, cut, took them out, shook it out, and then ta-da, sort of thing. I filmed it within 8 minutes. I then went home, edited it in about 3, and then uploaded it. And little did I know that that would be my big moment on social media for YouTube. And it just started going absolutely crazy. I went to bed, woke up, and I had like 10,000 subscribers overnight. And then the next month, like next week, another 10,000, 20,000. I was like, what the hell? And then I started to, like I said, I'm a nerd when it comes to everything. So I started to look at the analytics as to what was really affecting this in the back room with numbers. And it was just down to this niche that had sort of appeared, that people wanted to really understand the fundamentals of doing something really simply to then create something really quite technical.
But I think what's really interesting, that story, yes, there was a trend that blew up, but you were being authentic.
Yeah.
You were being the guide.
Yeah.
And also, you know, from your perspective, is that geeky expertise that really came through. And I guess there's a little bit where my next question is, what do you wish you knew when you first started posting online?
Nobody's watching.
What do you mean?
So when you first post and when you get this anxiety of putting your first video up and thinking, oh my God, everyone's gonna be watching this, and then they're gonna message me and like take the mick out of me, or what are you doing on YouTube? What are you doing on TikTok? No one's watching. Nobody is watching at the beginning. And that gives you enough time to be able to post again, and then really sort of hone your skills to then start creating. And where a lot of people hold back on that first upload because they're worried about what people think, I wish somebody told me that there's no one watching you. And that was a really big learn.
Okay. Yeah, and I think it goes back to the red light and the confidence on camera.
It does, yeah, because you feel really out your depth of when you're creating content, and it could be anything. It could be a picture you've edited, or it could be a drawing you've drawn. It could be anything, a cake you've made, and you put it up there thinking you're going to get criticized. But at the beginning, no one is really watching, and they won't watch your first posts until you've already got to where they want to be.
Okay.
And I think that's in lockdown. I watched this guy, and I was watching his vlogs, and he was so good on camera. His quality, his audio, everything about storytelling, everything was so good. And I was like, oh, I'd love to be able to do that. And then I watched his first video and seen how bad it was. And then you just think,
don't you making me wince? Please, nobody go back on my Instagram and look at the first bits, because it really is.
Oh, I already have, mate. I already have.
Oh, thanks. It really is terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah, but that's where
you
we'll
have to do that to get good.
It's the journey.
Yes, I'm going to go and wince at that later.
Yeah.
We know that your YouTube's up to over 200,000 subscribers. Do you have to have big numbers? So I'm thinking about cafes, florists, you know, some of the businesses locally. Do you have to have big numbers to have a big impact?
No, not at all. I mean, it just happens. That's the thing. Like, numbers follow. And when you've got a business and that is your passion, it is a case of just giving people like what you love to begin with, because you don't really know what you're looking at or what they're looking for. And then you start to really just to either help or inspire these people. And like we said, like the numbers just seem to follow. It's at the beginning when I did that stupid video that absolutely blew up, and I didn't do that for numbers. I just did that because I thought it was pretty cool.
Okay, so we're talking about things that have gone well.
Yep.
What are the mistakes you've made, and what can we learn from that?
Oh, a lot.
Without swearing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the first one is not actually posting. I think that's one of the biggest mistakes I made.
Go on.
Well, the whole fear factor of being judged. I think that's one of my biggest things, was starting too late. And I think we always think that, and I don't think it's ever too late to start. And I think, I mean, all the mistakes are just from overthinking, really, I think, because I've never looked back at content and think, oh, like I shouldn't have said this or I shouldn't have said that. I think it's all just learns. I think you learn as you start posting and creating, you just learn to get better. And my biggest mistake is not starting sooner.
So that's good. That's good to hear. That's really good to hear. And I think one of the questions is that balance between running the salon and creating content, because I think as small business owners, we all know the amount of pressure there is on our time.
Yeah. How
do you get the balance, or what suggestions do you have? That looks like some worrying smile there.
Well, if you know me, I've got no balance. And people often ask me these questions. I did a talk in the Netherlands of a month, and they were like, "How do you get time to do this?" And it's the question, it's the answer that nobody wants to hear. And like, I work pretty much 7 days a week, and the reason I do it is because my job doesn't feel like a job. I really enjoy what I do. Creating content just literally assisted and elevated the business. So why wouldn't I do that? And I find it really fun. If you don't find something fun, you're not really going to do it. And that's why you've really got to find a passion of yours of your business. And it might not be your business as a whole, but it might be something in your business that you really enjoy doing. And then that's the thing that people are looking for, because that's how your storytelling becomes very authentic, because you're talking about something you really love and that you really enjoy.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But talking about like balance and when to do it, like I said, I was about to leave work after a long day, and all my team were going off to do their family stuff and go out and everything. And I took that moment to really sort of pull myself back and say, no, I've made a conscious effort, and I'm going to create content, and that's something that I want to do. And I just went back into the salon. Like I said, it was like 10 minutes of my time. And all it started was a Google search. Whatever business you are, you could say, what is trending in like as a florist right now? What flowers are in season? And you could then do a little video on that. And because it's your job, you haven't really got to search too far. Like with me as a haircut, what's trending right now, wolf cut. I understood exactly what they were trying to create from a wolf cut, but I could make it that little bit different and then easier for me to do, and then just put it out.
What if, so we all know the time pressure we're under, but let's say a business is right, I've got half an hour a week for social media.
Yeah.
Where would you direct them? What would your suggestion be?
I think it's really easy it's just questions. I think the clients or customers coming into your business, or those reviews you've got online, you've got all of that information in front of you. And for me now, I just look at my comments on my YouTube video of will this suit fine hair? Will this suit around face shape? Will this how can I go blonde? And all, like, you've just got everything in front of you. And if you've got half an hour, like a week, a day, depending on your how much you want to post, you could literally answer one question a day, before work, after work, on your lunch. And that's just getting you really used to working on social media, being in front of a camera. And one of the biggest tips I can give is, if you really feel that, oh God, I don't want to post it, go through the whole process of filming it, editing it, and getting it uploaded, but just keep it on private or keep it unlisted, and just have it there for when you feel confident enough, and you'll have a bank of content that you can just release over time. And by the time you've got to that point, and where you were feeling here a little bit like anxious about it, you'll just be able to start releasing or release backwards, and then people won't even know.
I know you're a big fan of video. I'm going to say, what kind of video do you think works best for local businesses? What's your gut feel?
Authentic. I think authentic, like it beats aesthetic every single time. And I think we get caught up, I especially did and do, like in my studio now, I try to make sure that the lighting's all good, and like my background is all set. And to be honest, I should just turn my camera on. I should take my own advice sometimes and just turn my camera on and make a video. But I think we get so concerned about how good it's going to look, rather than like just us being us and being our authentic self, and just delivering that content that people want to hear, is going to add value and answer questions. I think that's one of the biggest things.
Okay. There's somebody that went through their old Instagram videos last night and is now regretting doing this.
Yeah.
When I first jumped on camera, I was really, really uncomfortable. I still find it difficult. What are those hints and tips to help people feel less awkward in front of camera?
I think there's just one major tip that I always give people, and it's just treat the lens as it's like your favorite customer or family member. And when I realized that whenever I talk about blondes, I'm talking to this one client in my lens, and I'm making sure that she gets every single bit of information, and it's between me and her. And then when I'm talking about this shag haircut, I'm talking to that other client, and the lens just becomes a person. It doesn't become that scary once you start talking to your lens on your phone or anything. It's just like your best friend. And that is the biggest thing for me that elevated me from being quite stumbly with my words and the overthinking, just to be like, oh, I'm just having a conversation. It doesn't have to be that serious. It's just I'm talking to them, letting them know everything. And then afterwards, you can then re-edit those little stumbles out or anything.
So one of the barriers I hear a lot that people talk about is my social media needs to be perfect. And we talked about ELNN and their social media really is perfect. But
to them, it might not be, but yeah.
Well, we could discuss that. We can discuss that later over a cake.
Yeah.
What I think is really interesting is so many businesses hold themselves back because they think that everything has to be perfect. You were talking about authenticity. How does authenticity fight with perfection?
Well, like I said, authenticity over aesthetics every single time. I think trying to get that perfect shot of just that beautiful image. And I think one of the biggest things people pay for now is to remove ads. People are paying to get rid of adverts, and that be the show, not the commercial, where you do need to be the show. It needs to be all about what you're going to be given as value, because people are now skipping adverts. And when I work with brands, hair brands that I work with, and they're producing like basically adverts of like their shampoos and conditioners and styling products, most people don't watch them. They want to see the person behind it talking about, well, why does it work and how does it work? And it could be like in a little closet. I mean, you talk about Stephen Bartlett, and you'll know Stephen Bartlett, Diary of a CEO. So he started, I can't remember, I looked at it the other day. He started in his wardrobe with a blanket over his head with a microphone, and he just started talking into the mic for a podcast on being a CEO of a business. And look where he is now. It wasn't about perfection. It wasn't about the aesthetics. It was purely about the information, the value, and trying to help people. And I think we get so caught up in trying to be absolutely perfect because we're putting ourselves out there. People just really want like humility, personality, and authenticity.
I think it's the same when we think about when we consume content.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we're all creators, but we're also consumers. And I always think, well, what makes us stop the scroll?
Yeah.
One of the things that I hear a lot when I'm working with businesses, especially high street businesses, is they can often feel very, very overwhelmed. What would you say to encourage them?
Feeling overwhelmed when creating content?
No, just social media as a whole.
Oh, social media
as a whole.
Oh, that's a very good question. I mean, one of the things for me is I get in those sort of doom scrolling moments and just like consuming so much content. And I seen a quote the other day, and it's you should be creating content as much as you consume content. And when I read that, I was like, oh, I should really be working now. When I'm like flicking through, and then because we all get there, and I'm doing it a lot to get inspiration. I'm trying to find the next big trend or the next big thing, but you can find yourself going on tangent on so many different things that you got to bring yourself back in and just think that whatever you consume, you should be creating. But getting overstimulated and that sort of fatigue by social media is that's one of the biggest issues right now, especially with the younger generation. I mean, they're consuming so much, so much that the fatigue is it must be outrageous when it comes to schools and everything. But to get over that fear and that anxiety and just worrying about social media, I would say, guys, it's hard because taking a step back, you don't really want to take a step back. You do want to immerse yourself in it if that's where you want to be. You want to see what your sort of competitors are doing, but I don't know what I'd say to it, to be honest.
I think somebody the other week said to me, nobody's coming to tell your story. And I think there's that little bit where I think if you don't put your business out there, nobody else is going to do it for you. And I think it's that little bit where when you bring that storytelling into it, that nobody's coming to tell your story. And I think the Stephen Bartlett's a really good example.
Yeah.
You know, just start.
Well, it is. I mean, that's it. You just press record and roll with it. But yeah, I'm just trying to think, like, because I do know so many people get overwhelmed. A lot of my team get overwhelmed in the salon. I'm always sort of saying, like, I gave my assistant our TikTok account and said, you let's get us to 10K on TikTok by the end of the year. And if anything, I think it scared him a little bit because he's done a couple of videos, and I sort of joke with him with clients saying, "Oh, how's our TikTok doing?" And I know, but yeah, he when he joined me, he really wanted to be big on TikTok. So I gave him our account and said, "Run with it." But yeah, there's been that little bit of him, and I don't know if it's a bit of naivety in thinking that there's going to be there's easy and there's going to be loads of people watching, and I think that is what gets to people. I think if you put a video up or anything, there's that critical moment that you think that you're going to be criticized or trolled. And I've got a story on this which I will tell actually. When it comes to trolling and negative comments, they're your best friend. You've got to use them as
sorry, how?
So use them as your engagement, and because they're the ones that are going to come back every single time, creating more engagement. And my friend, so I've mentored a few people with their YouTube channel, and he come to me at the early days, and he was like, "Oh my God, the amount of negative comments I'm getting, I'm just deleting them." And I was like, "Don't delete them, mate. They're gold because they're telling him what they want to see, basically." And he would then go back with another, "Oh, what would you do differently? And how would you wear it? And how would you style it?" He's a hairdresser as well. And when you start to realize that the negative comments are there as people basically telling you face to face, very, very bluntly, what you're doing wrong and what they want to see from you, then they become your biggest fans. So that was another aspect of where you get that worrying sense of, "Oh my God, I'm going to get so much negativity." And if people read them, like my mum, and my mum does read mine, she's like, "Oh, did you see what that woman said about your haircut?" I'm like, "Yeah, but it was a learn. We're going to do it differently next time." And I think using those anxious moments or negative moments to build on, I think there's nothing more valuable than a troll.
That is a first, and I bet it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Bizarrely, it drives your engagement. My next question is, what do you think are going to be the trends for small businesses to make the most out of the social media in the next few months?
One of the biggest ones that's been blowing up is POV content, in the sense of business owners having a pure point of view aspect on their business. So showing them everything that you wouldn't really show. So figures, the struggles, the wins, the losses, like you were saying, like day in the life. I think that's a big trend, something that I would love to bring into my business on maybe a different channel, but to really make people very aware that it's not all rosy every single day. Like you're not getting up and winning every single day. Like there's people losing out there, and there's people making channels on basically losing, and it's building their community so much because there's more losers than there are winners. And I think when you bring all that together, then you win together.
I like that. And finally, what's that one piece of advice that you could give businesses in our area, North Northants, especially the high street businesses, about social media and sort of your learnings, your experience, your expertise? What advice would you give people about social?
I would say post if you're not ready. I think that's one of the biggest things, because I don't think we're ever ready, and things can explode overnight like that video did for me. I wasn't expecting to wake up to that, and that was literally just a last minute thought of going making a video, editing it, putting it up, and it just exploding. So I think we all overthink so much, and you've got such a important message to share with your business, and I think we forget that. I think we get overwhelmed by maybe thinking about the negativity, or thinking that it's a bigger thing than it actually is. You create that little world of yours online, and you sell your sort of happiness, because that's how I feel about my business. It's I just want to help people, and I want more people to see that, and it would just be just do it when you're not ready. Because like I said, my biggest mistake was not posting sooner, and I think we all just put it off. We keep putting it off and putting it off and putting it off, whether it's a picture, whether it's a tweet, a bit of text, because there's a lot of people building audiences now on X or Threads, just by Threads being Instagram's version of Twitter, just by giving out like just pure gold every day of like words. and people just following that, and yeah, posting when you're not ready is probably my biggest thing for any business.
Thank you so much. Well, this has sort of been a quick journey through social media and
Yeah, very quick.
storytelling. Please subscribe to Paul's channels. What I'd like to do is open it up to any questions. Go for it.
So you mentioned about being technical, and it'll be great to understand. By the way, thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
What do you actually use, or equipment wise or software wise, to make it really quick, efficient, and not so, I guess, for what I feel overwhelming or procrastination?
Great question. So, to be honest, I felt so much more comfortable at the beginning doing it because I was doing it on my phone. And when I started uprating my gear to bigger cameras and mics and lights and everything, it brings more pressure, I felt. Whereas I felt really comfortable just getting my phone out and talking to my phone, and you've always got it on you. So your best tool of creating content is the one that you've got on you, the one you've got readily available. And just talking to that lens as if it's your best friend. And yeah, I mean, the phones do everything. Editing, don't they? Like, you can do absolutely everything on a phone now. The reason I moved to cameras is because I wanted to move away from the constant use on my phone. I was working on my phone, and I was creating content on my phone and and scrolling social media on my phone. And now I get that piece of putting my phone like in my bag now, putting it in my bag, getting a camera out, and just putting all of my energy into creating. And that's where it evolved to. So at the beginning, it's very much getting your phone, creating as authentic as you can. Maybe not even scripting it. Maybe just talking as if it's like a conversation with best friend or best customer, or even just describing your business. And then once it starts to develop, you do get to a point where you think, I do want a camera, and I do want to start sitting in front of a camera and making it a little bit more professional. And I mean, saying professional, phones are getting better than a lot of cameras nowadays, to be honest. So it's not even a case of that. It's me disconnecting from the world for however long I'm filming, and then that's when I like to jump in front of a sole camera. But I would say your phone as your gear is your best friend.
So much software, whether it's in CapCut,
Yeah.
Things. If from a startup perspective, what would you advise in your experience did you feel helped you with software?
So, I mean, I started on iMovie, just the free software on your iPhone, and I found that really simple. And then I went on to learn Premiere, and then DaVinci, and then I went to Filmora, which was more like a creator's editing platform. But the more like you move up, level up, I suppose, with software, the more complicated it gets. I've gone all the way up and then come all the way back down, and I use CapCut now. Whereas, to be honest, I could pretty much use iMovie because all I do is I cut, add music, and that's it. Because that's another thing. Like, when you start to add too many transitions, too many sort of like color grading, too many filters or anything, it then starts to become like the commercial, and then
it becomes the commercial, not the show.
Yeah, and I think that's where, like I said, people are paying to get rid of commercials. So if your bit of content looks too good, it might get lost in a scroll because they're thinking, well, that's an advert. So I think keep it as raw as possible. Use something that's really simple, intuitive to use, and you don't really need to be doing loads of special effects. It's literally cutting the beginning and the end off, cutting out all those sort of silent moments, and then putting out some content. Thank you.
I know you touched on like negative comments and stuff like that, but I don't know if you necessarily deal with like bad reviews or combat those in terms of like.
With our business, we've had 3 1-star reviews over, was it 15 years? And I mean, one of them was that they'd never visited us. And but I will like address everything and say, oh, really sorry for your experience with the salon. We've checked our database. We can't seem to find you on our system. If you could just let us know when you attended, who the stylist was, and we'd be happy to like work with you to like the service that we provide. And we've had some, I just think it's always I mean, AI now is incredible for it, because even when it comes to troll comments now, and you sort of look at it and you think, how can I deal with that in a professional manner, putting them in their place, but also learning from it? I'll screenshot it and I'll put it into ChatGPT or Gemini. I'll then put in my personality into it and saying, I want a response which is going to be this, 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 and this. And then it will respond in a manner of which I'm happy to then just paste, to be honest. I'm not saying don't like take the human away from it, but you don't want to jeopardize, I suppose, yourself, or you don't want to get into a situation where you're getting too emotional with a review. And there can be moments if somebody's,
and it's difficult when it's your own business.
That's what I was about to say. If it's your own business and somebody is giving you like a bit of a reality check, and like I said, it's great. Like, it's a learn, and you're like, we're human, we're not perfect, and using ChatGPT or something to respond to it now and reading that again and thinking like it's either bang on or I want to add a little bit more of like personality to it. But yeah, I mean, unless you're getting 1-star reviews every hour, I think it's something to worry about. But if it's like 5 a year, just take them as learns, respond to it in a real professional manner, and learn from it. I mean, even we invite them back into the salon, and we're just so really sorry you experienced that. I mean, we had one, I can just remember now. We've got a slate floor in the salon, and one of our trolleys, when we're taking our trolleys across the salon floor of our hairdressing trolleys, it's got all our tools on it, and it's got drawers in it that rattle. And sometimes when you pull it across, it sometimes like sounds like Home Alone, you know, that thing coming downstairs, that tool chest. It sometimes sounds like that. And we got a bad review for that. And it was a lady just obviously sitting there wanting to relax, wanting to chill out, have her hair done in peace. And somebody pulled that trolley behind her and she let us know it. And I couldn't be more thankful, because to me, whenever I see a stylist bringing it across, I'm thinking, oh, that's loud. But then you've got all these people trying to relax in the business, and it's emphasized. It's really brought that to my attention. So now, if there's a moment, it's like you just lift it up and you move it. It's only like one trolley, so I think we need to get rid of it, to be honest. But yeah, just use it as learns and invite them back into the business to experience what you want to give properly. I mean, if it was a florist and they weren't happy with the flowers in like certain aspects of it, then I would say, oh, really sorry, like you didn't get the experience that I really want to give. Come back in, I'll give you a complimentary bouquet of flowers. I want you to really experience what our service is all about, because it's not going to be one bad review every hour, is it? It's going to be one in 100, say. So you're not going to be losing too much when it comes to it. But yeah, great question. Did that answer? Yeah.
I have one. So you already mentioned that we all know that content has to be consistent.
Yeah.
So how do you plan it? So for example, one day is for Instagram, another day is for YouTube, or you have just one day in a week where you just film absolutely everything?
Yeah, great question. So this talk I did at YouTube on Friday. Nobody wants to hear it because a lot of my content is very spontaneous. And
so it does work then, yes?
Being spontaneous, absolutely. And the way that I realize that I am spontaneous is because I'm immersed in my industry, immersed in my job. And when you think of it like that, it's not spontaneous. But when I go to create the content, it feels very spontaneous, because I'm thinking, right, I'm going to create a video and I haven't really thought about what I'm going to create. And then I'll sort of Google a hair trend, or I'll quickly scroll and I'll see, oh, bobs are trending. So then I'll start to create a bob. But because I know hairdressing and I know how to create different looking bobs, I could just cut a bob that I think is quite spontaneous, but in reality, it's what I do every day. So I'm just literally taking it from the salon floor to in front of a camera to create content with. But I would say spontaneous content creates authenticity. I think if it's too overplanned, and if you've got, I mean, I've got a teleprompter in my studio as well. So sometimes I'll put content on there if I'm talking hair trends that are just little sort of prompts. But I wouldn't necessarily sit there and be reading it, because you can just tell that it's not me, like being how I am with my personality.
That sounds like my old videos.
Yeah.
I use the teleprompter and it's just not me. And you look back at it and you cringe. But I think there's that little bit where you have to kind of explore to find what works for you.
Yeah.
And I think what you're saying about the authenticity and the spontaneousness, I think it's that bit inviting people into your world. And goes back to the Donald Miller idea of, okay, how can you be the guide helping the hero? And when you can bring your voice and your expertise to the customers, I think that's the bit where they really engage with you.
Yeah, because that is all my content is helping people. And as long as that continues in every video, it could be how do you create blonde hair? How do you create that haircut? And it's all, when I said about reverse engineering, I'm trying to make it so simple so it helps the majority who are looking for it. And that's all my content is, basically. That's all content really should be. It's just helping with like surrounded by your business.
Any final questions?
Yeah, I'm curious to know what your headline was for YouTube and Google, because you said your friend mentioned something and it was quite cheesy. So what was your opening line for that?
Oh, when I think it was just like, hello. I didn't really do too much. It was just a case of like I did today, like my name's Paul Watts, salon owner. And then I got into social media. It was basically a talk similar to this. There was 200 beauty creators in the room, and they wanted to be inspired into getting into YouTube and how to create content. And it was basically just like today, but for there, to be honest. And it's just trying to inspire people just to make the start, make the jump. And I think that's the hardest thing with everybody. Like I've got my salon manager. I took a picture of every single slide at Google headquarters, and then I said to her on Saturday, I said, "Oh, I've got something for you. I've got all of the slides of how to start YouTube, because you want to start YouTube, don't you?" And she just looked at me because she's already started, but it's just that little sort of dig, sort of like, I know you want to do it, but it is a thing of just like it's just starting. It is so difficult to get it into your head to think I need to do it, but it's that want to do it, and then once you start to do it, it becomes a habit, and that's the thing that you just want to do. You just want to start creating content. And one thing I when I said earlier about creating it and leaving it unlisted, go through the motion of everything. Go through the motion of planning, filming, editing, the whole content creation, uploading, and then just leave a back catalog there until you're ready to post it. And then by the time you do, you're ready to go.
Do you plan? So if you have loads of stuff, do you then think this week I'm going to focus on this and use, I don't know, Canva planner or something to help you organize it? Or do you organize it?
I would see, I would love to say I do. And I would love to be a planner. Like we're talking about this bit of paper here, but not paper. I would love to plan my content, but my schedule is so busy that I get a bit fatigued by it. Like when you were saying about planning and everything, I get a bit fatigued by thinking, oh my God, I've got to plan this week's videos, which is why I love to leave it quite spontaneous. And like my creativity comes from being spontaneous. It's like the reason I got into hairdressing was because university were telling me to do my designs over 6 months. That's not how I work. My brain works. Somebody sits in my chair, they show me a couple of pictures. I look at them as the brief. I look at that as the inspiration, and I've got to come up with something. And when I get into my studio, I pick a mannequin head out of a bag, I put it on the stand, I look at it, and I think, right, what's been trending? And then I'll just go with it, and I'll just start to create. And that's why I love to do those ponytail haircuts, because they're really quick, really easy, and very immediate. So you put it into however many ponytails, and the way that I'm able to do that is because I understand haircutting so much that if I lift the hair to here and I cut it here, this side's going to be shorter, that side's going to be longer, because we're creating over direction and elevation. If we cut it down here, it's going to be quite heavy. So that's what I really want to get across to the younger generation of hairdressers, to think that hairdressing isn't as complicated as you're making it seem. It's the same as content. You've just got to love what you do, enjoy what you do, and just be willing to let people know what you do.
Thank you. I think what I've picked up from talking to Paul, and Paul's incredibly humble. He's just been named Influencer of the Year a couple of weeks ago on his socials. His subscribers constantly going up. But what I think is so interesting with Paul is he's local. He's done it through storytelling. He's done it through starting, and he's built it through authenticity and storytelling. So for you to create your social media is exactly the same. Authenticity, bring your skill, your expertise, and how can it help the people that you are with? Thank you so much for joining us all today. Thank you.
Thank you.
With that, it's back to Brian. Can I?
Yep.
Just like to say thank you very much to the people online. That brings us to the end of our workshop, and for people in the room, it's going to be time for a little bit of networking, but we are about to say goodbye to the people online. Thanks again for participating, and I hope it was useful. If you wish for the presentation, that might well be able to arrange that with the contact details of the gents that have been doing the speaking. Thanks very much for that, and goodbye.
I think you're going to say like and subscribe and buy the merch.